I've been really struggling with this for a while. My health's not super awesome right now, and I've not been able to edit and compile my work as I'd like. So I'm just going to start sharing drafts. This is not a finished piece. I wrote it today. I read it out. That's what I will have recorded for you. There will be edits in line, and I'm going to at least twice completely mess up. So enjoy, and thank you.
The wave can be so destructive, a tsunami moving over the earth, uprooting everything, holding in suspension, while above and below everything transforms. Does that tiny sliver of ocean believe it's the only part that matters? That the ability to destroy and grind under heel makes it better than the richness of the depths, the slow ebb and flow of the moon's shameless, one-sided romance. How sad that little prideful drops, seen from the perspective of the sun and other planets, the destruction and the progress that may emerge when the waters recede or the land surrenders to it. Likewise, blend into the glorious rhythms of time and life. I have always hated how I looked and acknowledge the disconnect as my discontent has personal roots. But the cost that the world has paid because of the nonsense and maliciousness and madness done in the belief that this kind of complexion means anything. My brother and I joked about how our mother married who she did for the whiteness of offspring. She engineered our whiteness. My brother spoke around his food at the cozy. She saw you and said, "Good, white babies." I remember it like a dream, in a way. Race at that time was something dangerous to discuss openly, hence her children torturing her with a conversation at a restaurant. Whiteness back then was like a wave, flowing over so much of what my mother did and said, but she was so careful to only compromise her passing unless you got her angry. Then she would wield it like a club, and props to her. More than once she made racists feel small. But we knew the consequence of that reveal happening at the wrong moment, when whiteness would grind anyone down to exalt itself. I remember musing with a minister what my mother's life would have been like. He was her peer. I believe they were born in the same year, and also from Virginia. If she had been raised in the black community, we concluded that she would have had an unutterably different experience. I never could wrap my mind around it. For the longest time, I could not understand the people who were not occasionally at least ambivalent about the wisdom of taking the next breath. Hold on. I told myself over and over, the darkness will recede eventually, and the love will come back to the chaos of self. Just hold on. Whatever the next few moments bring, we have already survived so much before. Once I began to think and dream lovingly to myself, like when I could do so in Spanish, it began to help me in moments like this. For the record, as I write, my head is screaming so badly. I am, and I'm still, as I'm reading this, in so much pain in a lot of other places, but I can't perceive it. Talking right now, I can tell the places where I was going to insert poetry, the chops. I forgot the poems. I probably was too busy thinking them out and forgot to write them down. For all the world, I want to call out, begging and pleading and groveling. Please, please. I cried out for 50 years. Love me, bear me, help me, and heal me. The way the deep breath pushes into the tumors in my ribs reminds me I'm alive. Even though I had every advantage and am dedicated enough to my craft, I am beavering away at 12:37 in the morning, mind you. Not quite Pi Day. I am eating vanilla wafers in a house I can't pay for on benefits because I don't get enough. When my mother would do my hair, thanking the God she sometimes appreciated with belief that I looked like a little angel. Oh, she said, and I was taken by the sunlight filtering through like honey as she rinsed my hair in the sink. My hair looked like this when I was young. She would smile as she ripped the tangles out. This will never get dark. But tonight, with my snacks and all the dishes dirty, I am thinking of the damage, this wave of destruction that rolled over the earth because people thought not being able to bear sunlight was the peak of evolution. They found another 129 children in Canada. I saw yesterday. Nothing really makes the US news. It's all Ukraine and colonialism, manifest destiny, eugenics, capitalism. All of it was part of this wave. It rolled over every continent and caused such suffering and death, demanding people adhere to the preferences of a small niche of humanity. Oh, that was a hard one. I'm gonna go back to the top of that paragraph. I didn't mean for there to be a joke. Colonialism, manifest destiny, eugenics, capitalism, all of it was part of this wave. It rolled over every continent and caused such suffering and death, demanding people adhere to the preferences of a small niche of humanity. I am having odd and overwhelming feelings, admittedly. But listening to how the native New Zealanders' fathers carried and cared for their children so lovingly before the whites came, I ugly cried until my head pain made me stop. And how I have loved the benefits it brought me with Los Rizos del Oro Museum. So much knowledge that was extracted and coerced and co-opted. The spiritual texts and practices of so many different lands were, for me, exciting adventures in learning. And forgive me, I shaved his hair with only a quiver of vanity. But I adore all that I have learned. Even studying history, specifically colonial Latin America and Europe of the same time period, I was too obtuse. Waves pull back into the sea. The ocean rises and reminds the land that all are one. It's one or the other. I feel outraged at the very entitlement underpinning my gratitude. I have so loved what I have learned. Swimming in story and mythology has been glorious. But I return to loving, and so much of society would hate me for my peace and joy because of my sex or weight or my biracial mother or the other 3/4 of my ancestors, many of whom I speak from lived experience, were not effervescent joy. That I am here in part because I was thrown away, thanks to disability and chronic illness, is just where my life veers toward farce. I get so much delight at the sputtering rage of those who tell me God hates me, because this is love. Inside this joy and bliss, carrying names I have no right to. This is love here. This is what I made out of this one messy little life. I keep apologizing for my ancestors, to my ancestors. I trained as an historian. The past lives in my life. Oh God, that is funny as fuck. Okay, I'm gonna move the thing so I mark it. I might clip that out, I might not. We're gonna try that again. Oh, I keep agonizing for my ancestors. Oh God, I did it again. I keep apologizing for my ancestors, to my ancestors. I trained as an historian. The past lives in my life, as do the stories and myths and all the brilliant creations I've seen. As much as I grieve, I can write these words because of this technology. I limp forward thanks to medicine. I can, in this solitude, acknowledge the cost paid for my leisure, but I will never grasp its breadth and depth. But I know this. White, cis, hetero capitalists made most of the decisions for a long time, and the world is falling apart along with this edifice of institutions that favored one small fragment of life. And we need to start with something basic to bring ourselves back. I am all this hot mess of chronic pain and illness, PTSD, neurodivergency, education, and a solitary without close daily support on the dole, often unwashed and possibly smelly. And just starting to realize that the world which sees me of less value, or you, because of anything, is the madness from which we need to recover. There's no wave, it's just ocean. At the smallest scales, we are all the same stuff. Wouldn't it be lovely to make decisions where being kind and gentle would be the priority, where no one could fall below a place where they do not matter and their voice cannot be heard? So as I read this out, as when I go to type it in, I'll smooth out the transitions, correct my mistakes, but I really just have to start putting this out somehow. I wish I was doing better mentally as far as being able to monitor flow, and I'm very insecure sometimes with words. You'll see I will change things so it doesn't hurt my brain so much trying to speak it. I am very grateful, and in this moment, just I wish I could apologize for everything, but that's not in my power. All I can do is move from a place of love and understanding of everyone's humanity and everyone's ability to understand and honor themselves. No one I have ever met who was trans, or who had deeply suffered, or who had been on the outside, those are not the people that have lived an unexamined life. They can be trusted, probably more than most, because they couldn't just check the boxes and click the dots and have curly blonde hair and walk through life like that. The fact that I had to is anomalous. But living right here from this place of loving, as sick as I am and as fragile as life feels, I'm not depressed, I just am aware I'm not immortal. This loving feels so much better than all the other times I've hurt this badly and fallen into a trigger and had to isolate myself because I was afraid. I didn't write what I just wrote out of a place of fear. And for that, I am very, very grateful.